Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'm sharing with you a recipe how to make those beautiful little sweets. They look like pumpkins, but in fact they're made from a humble orange. Halloween's coming up soon and no doubt many of us are going to be having some parties and get together with family and friends. And if you're like me and you like to make your food presentation super special, then this video is for you. So let's proceed to the recipe. So let's go through what we will require. So I have a 1 cup of cornstarch or corn flour in UK. I have 200 grams of sugar, and we will need 2 cups of freshly squeezed orange juice, which we will do in a minute. For decorations, guys, we will need 1 lime, we will need some pumpkin seeds, we will need some white sugar, and we'll need some brown or demerara sugar. So first thing, guys, we've got to do is to juice our oranges and get ourselves 2 cups of orange juice. Let's get going. So make sure you wash the oranges, cut them in half. They are very large ones. I'm going to be using one of those squashers, and I just know it is going to go everywhere because they are pretty large. We want to be straining the orange pulp, so let's get juicing. Yeah. They are super juicy. One more to go. So next thing we're going to do before we juice that one, let's get some orange zest. We'll just need 1 zest of 1 orange. Make sure when you zest it, you don't go all the way to the pith because it is bitter. We just want the top layer. So let's actually juice the last one. Put that aside. Voila, we now have 2 cups of orange juice. We're gonna add on our orange zest to here. And the next step, guys, we need to get a frying pan and a hob. So guys, the first next step is we're gonna combine our sugar with orange juice and dissolve the sugar. After it's done, we'll be adding on the cornstarch. And the reason we're going for a larger frying pan because it's going to speed up the process, because it's a teeny bit tedious process and you can't really leave it alone. You have to be there. It's like making a risotto. You have to be sticking with this for a little while. However, the point is, the bigger our contact surface with the content, it will just be just quicker. It will just speed up the process by quite a lot. So first things first, let's just dissolve the sugar. Okay guys, sugar is now dissolved, so let's just turn the heat down a bit and let's add on our cornstarch. In there goes. And now start mixing. It will be sticking to the bottom, especially in the middle because that's where the main heat comes from. Make sure it just doesn't stick. Make sure you incorporate it all in. We need to keep mixing it in until it's fully dissolved. So we need to dissolve it first, and then obviously we need to cook it out. So as I said, it will be sticking right at the bottom, especially in the center, because my ring, it's not big enough. But obviously you'll know your size. You'll feel that because it will get sticky at the bottom. So once it starts getting to the milky consistency, so we can see it's kind of dissolved, we're going to ramp up the heat. And this is where the pressure is on, guys. The idea is, okay, when it's going to start sticking to the bottom and clamping, I found it easier to push it aside so the rest of the liquid comes into contact with the hotter area. So you don't kind of overcook the one part and the other part is still liquid. So let me show you what I mean by that. Let's ramp up the heat. Okay, it's creating what we're looking for in the middle. So after 5 minutes, guys, you can see I've been putting it to the side and we are halfway there. Okay, but you can see the importance of putting this to the side. Okay, so your liquids got a quicker chance of becoming our fruit jelly, if you wish, or fruit leather, I think you call it. Now it's time to move this to the middle and start making this into one solid a dough type thing. Okay. It will be sticking to some extent, guys, in the middle. Don't worry about that. Just work it until it becomes non-stickable. So guys, the hard part is over. Okay, so what we're going to do is just to let it chill ever so slightly. Well, actually quite a bit slightly, because we're going to shape this in a cling film. Okay, because what we want it to be, guys, we want to put this in the fridge for it to chill so it becomes a little bit more stiffer, like a modeling clay. So I'm going to set this aside and I'll see you when it's a little bit cooler. So our gloop has chilled a little bit. So the next thing is, okay, we're going to wrap this in a cling film. Again, this is my choice, but I'll explain the reason why. Let's get this in. You can put this in a bowl or in a plastic container. That's absolutely fine, because in the end of the day, guys, we're going to be making shapes out of it. However, okay, I like things near perfect, and I am looking at, hold on, put that back. I'm looking at making them into obviously square circles, but at first I want to make this into kind of a rectangular or square, because I want to make sure that when I come to cut it into pieces, they're semi-universal, because I want my pumpkins to be pretty much the same size. And the best way I found achieving that is the shaping that dough into square and then cutting them up into the chunks. That roughly gives you the same size pumpkins. Okay. At the same time, to speed up the process, it will cool quicker. So if you are doing this on the time constraint, okay, then it will set quicker than by just sitting as a dollop in your fridge in the container. Okay, so, right guys, they look something like that. It is about a centimetre and a tad thickness, but again, it really doesn't matter, guys. It's whatever works for you. It all depends what size pumpkins you're going to do as well. I'm making them like in the round size bite-size pumpkin, really, or 2-bite pumpkin. So there we are. So the square works out about 15 by 15 centimeters roughly. Okay. All we're going to do, you can see that it's basically like a jelly. All we're going to do is to put this in the fridge for a couple of hours, or until it will change color slightly. That's absolutely fine. You might notice when you come to peel this off, you might have a little bit of condensation or a bit of that oily separation, but that's absolutely fine. Don't worry about that. So, and it goes in the fridge for a couple of hours. So, we are ready. Here we go. Let's get this opened up. So, as I said, we have our squares. So, decision is up to you guys to how big you want to make your pumpkins. So, for the best and more logical way, if you cut this in half, and then another half, and another half, and then you can make a choice again on how many you can make. So 1, 2, 3, probably another 4. So let's go with that. I'm not going to do all of those on camera. I'm going to just show you what to do next. Okay, so we've got our squares. Let me put this aside here. So obviously make sure your hands are clean. So take your little jelly if you wish. Okay. And the idea is, guys, we're molding this into a little bowl. Okay. It's pretty much like similar to working with a dough, but just slightly a bit more gelatinous. So bounce, bounce. Okay. Right, so our little bowl is done. So what I'm doing next, guys, okay, I'm putting this in a plate. My good idea to put some sugar in that. They will be sticky because we're working with this with warm hands, okay? So I'm squashing a little dough, just a little bit, so it kind of flats a bit like a pumpkin. And then I am using the food grade elastic band. If you're wondering what those are, I got this from Lakeland, and they are things you can literally put in the oven, in the freezer, or you can tie up meat with that, and the oven saves, so they're brilliant. So, and the whole thing is we're going around and just making some incisions in the pumpkin. Okay, put the little finger in the middle just to make a little other hole. And again, so for the options of the the orange pumpkin, okay, we are using a demerara or brown sugar to coat them in. And in the middle, we are putting a tiny bit of orange peel, okay? And for the green ones, so if you do decide to go with the green ones, I've done some lime zest mixed with sugar. Okay, so you mix it together, you let it sit for a little bit, and then make sure you dry the sugar again, because obviously the sugars will soak in all the oils and the color, and it gives it more natural green color. I've played around with the food colorings, and the food coloring just looks off. It's just not pleasant, and you don't really want to have all these in numbers in your lovely little pumpkin sweets. So the best thing I found is, yes, grate some lime, add this to your sugar, mix it up, let it dry out, and then you can coat for the green effect pumpkin. So without further ado, right, we're taking our pumpkin and then we're dunking it in our sugar. Again, that just gives that little bit of a nice little glistening effect. Okay, so there we have it. So orange pumpkin, and in the middle we stick a little orange zest. And there we are. Again, if you really want to take this to another level, you can boil your zest in the sugar syrup. Obviously it makes it like caramelized, but again, depends whether you have time or desire to do so. But otherwise, we'll have our little orange pumpkin. And I proceed, let's get us a green pumpkin. I'm just gonna wash my hands. Voila. So let's go with the green one. Again, the same process. It's something satisfying if you like making the desserts or things that look pretty. It's just great. Okay, so there we have it. Let's dunk in the bottom with the green one. Okay, flatten it down. We go again. You can't always see the things, you know, the little indentations that greatly. However, it's just, I know they're there. Okay, so let's dunk this into the green one. And whilst they'll sit there, guys, as well, after they're covered in sugar, you'll amalgamate it together. It will just look a bit more natural, if that makes sense, rather than just sprinkled sugar. It will just kind of just blends in better and give you a better effect, okay? So the green pumpkins go in, and for the green ones, we're using the pumpkin seeds as a top. And there we are, we have our green pumpkins. Okay, it was as simple as that. You can either continue making all the pumpkins into pumpkins, or alternatively, guys, you can roll this out a bit thinner if you didn't want to really mess around with this. You know, if you kind of find it a bit short on time, or you just don't want to do that, it's absolutely fine to roll it out a bit thinner with a rolling pin before you put this in the fridge. Make it really, really smooth, and then you can use a cookie cutter. If you want to do that, that's absolutely fine. You can have a cookie cutter. Make sure you just still put a little bit of sprinkle of the sugar underneath and on the top, just to make sure they don't stick. You can put a little bit of the icing sugar on the top as well if you wanted to. It will kind of soak in eventually. So, but as an instance, you can sprinkle this just before the presentation to the table. That'd be absolutely fine. So I do hope you guys enjoy the recipe. They are super yummy, super tasty, and fairly easy. So if you have enjoyed the recipe, don't forget thumbs up, subscribe maybe if you haven't, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye.